Since my commitments in the video you saw, we've continued to maintain our outstanding safety record, and as at today, I think, Jeremy, we're at just under 5.5 million hours worked without a lost time incident, safety incident. The majority of those hours took place during construction of the mine, which is typically an activity that is regarded as higher risk. Blackwater mine is a unique asset, and we, Artemis, had a unique vision for how it would come together. When we purchased Blackwater in 2020, we had the opportunity to build a modern mine that met social and environmental standards of today's times. Being in close proximity to clean, renewable hydroelectricity from BC Hydro encouraged us to build a new 135-kilometer high-voltage transmission line, some of which you saw today, to connect with our site and the Glenannan substation not far from Vanderhoof, north of here, enabling a processing plant behind me with one of the smallest carbon footprints in the world for an open-pit precious metals mine. It was clear from the beginning that this mine had the potential to provide generational opportunities for the First Nations and the communities in the mine region. For me, this was pivotal. At this stage in my career, I wanted to lead this project and not only create jobs and value from economic development, but make a meaningful effort towards reconciliation with our Indigenous partners for generations to come. First Nations peoples treat the land and water and the animals and plants that depend on them, our environment, with the greatest respect and have been responsible stewards of the land for millennia. So in partnering with 6 First Nation communities, I knew we not only had to deliver on economic and other benefits, but to develop the mine with responsible practices for the environment. We've done that and are committed to continuing to do so. Building a large-scale mine is not just about producing gold and silver, it is about creating opportunities. I'm proud to say that as I stand here today, that while there is always more to do, as our partners will frequently remind us, we currently have over 400 employees at Blackwater Mine. Approximately 25% identify as Indigenous, 40% are from the mine region, and 80% are from BC. And the best part about our business is that working closely with our First Nations partners, we are able to provide jobs and careers for our Indigenous workforce on ancestral lands, making it easier to stay connected to culture, language, and remain in close proximity to family. Very few industries, Premier, can do this, but we collaborate, but if we collaborate, this is exactly possible. This is what we are doing, and we will continue to do. The economic study written in 2020 predicted that Blackwater Mine was expected to contribute $13.2 billion to the provincial economy over the life of the mine, including $2.3 billion to provincial revenues and $1.5 billion in federal tax revenues. Premier, I'm pleased to say that those numbers are likely to be well exceeded, as they were estimated in 2020 using commodity prices that are almost half of what they are today. Since 2022, we have spent $1 billion with Canadian contractors and service providers, with $700 million of that spent in BC, and $300 million with local and Indigenous companies in a region that has seen devastating closures and curtailments in the forestry industry. This is an achievement that we have accomplished together. Every person here today and more have played a role, and I would like to take a moment to thank each of you for your part. Thank you to the Lushkus Dene and the Algaucha peoples for welcoming us on your traditional territories. Thank you to Nadli, Wooten, Saikas, Stalaten, and Nazca First Nations for welcoming other mine infrastructure to be on your territories. Thank you, Premier Evie and Minister Bra, and your respective teams for your support and all the work that goes into permitting and regulating our mine. We have seen improvements in the process and turnaround times for permits in recent years, and we look forward to seeing more progress. On that front, Premier, we also look forward to seeing promised improvements from your federal colleagues. Thank you, Mayor Moutre and the District of Vanderhoof, as well as the communities and mayors of Burns Lake, Fraser Lake, Fort St. James, Prince George, and Quesnel for your input, engagement, and support, and for providing us with so many of your businesses, services, and citizens who helped to build the mine and to keep it running today. And of course, thank you to our staff. Our President and COO, Jeremy Langford, is one of the most experienced and capable people I've ever had the privilege to work with in 40 years of me being in this mining industry, and it's truly been an honor to work with you, Jeremy, and thank you for all that you've done. Under Jeremy's leadership, we assembled a competent, experienced, and determined team, including our Senior Vice President of Construction, Shane Budd. Thank you, Shane. Our Mine General Manager, Adam Joffrey, our General Manager of Mine Development, Tim Donnelly, our CFO, Jerry Van der Westhuizen. These gentlemen often had to quite literally stand on their heads at times, Shane, to get this mine built, and often at the expense of precious family time. Thank you all. There are so many people, perhaps too many, for me to properly thank today. Our board, all of whom are here today, our management, our lawyers, our bankers, our contractors, suppliers, many of whom are also here today, and many of whom have traveled across the country to be here, including my 3 children from California and the United Kingdom. Thank you. There is one person who I do want to further recognize, my long-standing close friend and our biggest supporter both financially and with his business expertise, Mr. Ryan Beatty. I was fortunate to attend a ceremony where Ryan was honored and inducted into the Canadian Business Hall of Fame, in addition to his most recent induction into the BC Business Laureate Hall of Fame, in addition to his recent induction as a member of the Order of British Columbia, amongst other things, where he once said, and this touched me, he once said, it's unusual to work with close friends in business. I consider myself a close friend, and Ryan, you are a pleasure to work with as a business partner, and that in itself speaks volumes about the person and the man you are. Thank you. I want to acknowledge Candace Olison, our Chief ESG Officer, for your tireless efforts and unwavering commitment. The guy who's been with Blackwater continuously since the beginning is a guy by the name of Ryan Todd, our Senior Vice President, Environment and Community, sitting behind Chief Juni there. Ryan joined us from the previous owners and has carried the torch almost initially by yourself in establishing the world-class environmental practices and the partnerships with our Indigenous partners for the last 13 years. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you to your young family for supporting you with the long working hours to achieve success. Finally, of course, I want to thank the team who put together today's program, led by Candace Alderson and Crystal Sharwood, in such a short period of time, with all sorts of challenges, and they continue today with the schedule, and all sorts of competing interests that we all have in our calendars. And while we're here today to celebrate the opening of Blackwater Mine and all that we have accomplished, I am also looking to the future as well for what is coming over that horizon. There are more areas we want to explore, and there are 2 more phases of Blackwater to build, the next of which may begin construction as early as late this year. As Jeremy said in the video, the future is bright for Blackwater. I would like to introduce Minister of Mining and Critical Minerals, Jagrit Brar, who will say a few words.